The first step was he had to get from out of his country. He had to get out of his kinfolks, his kindred, his family, get from around them. And thirdly, he had to get out of his father's house. So verse 1 says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above. Somebody is being prepared in the realm of the Spirit to sit in a high position. There's someone that's going to be moving into a political office. Patricia, God is moving in your life. There's a Jones, you're a writer. Jones, you're a writer. God is looking to heal thee. God is looking to restore some things. Verse 2 says, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee. But before the overtaking, there's got to be an overturn. Then he says, and will overtake thee, if thou shalt, the condition, hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. God is speaking tonight. You're going to call 404-380-1478 and get your seed in according to the book of Ezekiel today. I believe that is Ezekiel as the Lord has spoken. Ezekiel chapter 21, verse 27. So your seed of $21.27. That's the open heaven seed to open up the heavens tonight. You're going to write on a piece of paper the thing that you need God to overturn. The thing that you need God to overturn. And you got to write the word overturn, overturn, overturn. And you're going to stand upon that. And then you're going to shout overturn 3 times. And you're going to watch the Spirit do what it has to do. You're going to watch the angels of God begin to do what they got to go do. Some of you receive letters in the mail in the next 72 hours, the next 7 days, the next 10 days. That God said, I've overturned it. There's several of you have a tax matter. God said, I'm going to overturn it. Someone with a foreclosure, God said, I'm going to overturn it. Someone with the repossession of a vehicle, God said, I'm going to overturn it. Someone with cancer around about a prostate, almost like the colon prostate area, God said, I'm going to overturn it. God said, I'm overturning it. Something was stolen from you. I can't get away from this Henry. And it seems like it's connected to land. I don't know if this was like a repossession of land or a tax matter, or someone took land from you. God said, I'm going to overturn it and give it back to you. So the instructions that you follow will determine the miracles that you walk into. So verse 2 again, and all these blessings which shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, your obedience. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed thou shalt be in the field. So whatever you put your hands to is going to be blessed. You'll be blessed in your city. You'll be known in your city. The people will now call you blessed according to Malachi 3. And your new name shall be Blessed Beverly, Blessed Patricia, Blessed Regina, Blessed Mary, Blessed Michelle, Blessed Albert, Blessed Cynthia, Blessed Stephanie. Blessed shall thou be in the city. Verse 4, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kin, and the what? Kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket in thy store. You'll have an overflow of increase. Your bank account will start overflowing. Your cup will run over. Verse 6, blessed shall thou be when thou comest in. So when I come in, I'm going to be blessed. Blessed shall be thou when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee. Now listen to this here. This is what God's going to do for you out of your obedience. Because though God has took us to Ezekiel 21:27, I felt God God took me to the book of Deuteronomy because I saw that word overturn and I saw that word overtake. As you're moving in faith tonight, there's going to be an overturn, and guess what? Your blessings are going to overtake you, but they're going to overtake your enemy, and the wealth of the wicked shall be stored up for you. God's going to overtake what they got. But then verse 6 lets us know what's going to happen as they're overtaken. Anything or anybody that speaks evil against your name, God said, I'll overtake them. I will overtake them. Whatever situation, he says, I will overtake them, and I'll take back what belongs to you. So verse 6 says, blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Then verse 7 says, and the Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. They'll flee before thee 7 ways. They shall be smitten, and blessings shall be in your storehouse. There's something about Ezekiel 21 and 27 that has connected me in the spirit to Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 1 through 14. I dare you to read it for the next 3 nights before you go to bed. I dare you to read it before you go to bed, and I dare you to read it when you get up in the mornings. And just anoint yourself with oil. I want y'all to, God is taking me, giving y'all instructions tonight. I'm giving y'all instructions. I can't get away from these instructions. Now, hear ye the word of the Lord, everyone that is moving in faith. So it's not going to work for you if you don't move in faith. You got to catch something to it. David says, I wouldn't receive anything from the Lord without giving something. If it didn't cost me anything. God has taken me into prophetic instructions for y'all. You must see results. Many of you must begin to see the blessings of God. You must see God move in your life. You must see God's presence be demonstrated in your life, in the life of your family, in your home, and in your children. We must see results in our Christian walk. But God says we're coming into days where the enemy shall no longer laugh at us, and neither shall he mock us. But God says, I'm getting ready to move upon my people. Whatever is happening in the world shall not come nigh nor near thy door. For the next 3 days, hear ye the word of the Lord. I'm asking you tonight, it's a prophetic instruction. You're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 through 4, before you go to bed and when you get up in the morning, and get some anointed oil, get some oil. And even right now tonight, get some oil next to you, olive oil in your house. Get some olive oil in your house, and I'm going to bless that oil tonight. And we're going to speak a word. And we're going to put some power in that oil. And you're going to take that olive oil, and you're going to anoint. I'm going to take you all and tell you what to do with it before this call is over tonight. I feel the presence of God. I feel the presence, because there's 7 things, 7 areas that you need to begin to anoint with this oil tonight. Why should we anoint ourselves? So you don't have to smell like your past. Even a hunter knows when he goes out to hunt for deer and other animals that he has to put a spray on himself because he cannot smell like a 2-legged creature. He cannot go there smelling like man. He must smell like his environment. Because he'll be smelled and his scent will come forth and the other animals will run from him. Why? Because he doesn't smell like them. Some of you have been smelling like your past. Some of you have been smelling like the city that you live in. You've been smelling like your address, and you've allowed what you've been going through to rub off on you. Remember, that's what the Bible says, you'll go through the fire, but you won't have the smell of smoke on you. Some of you have been in situations, and you're smelling like your past. You're smelling like your situations. Some of y'all in some poor areas, and you have the smell of poverty on you. You try, and you try, and you try, but nothing ever seems to come forth. Tonight, God says, I'm breaking that for my people. There's a transfer tonight. All I need you to do is to believe tonight. There are promotions for y'all tonight. God is moving, bringing promotions and increase. And we're going to bless the olive oil. If you don't got none in your house, I suggest you go get some. Knock on a neighbor's door. Says, give me some oil. And then you give it back to them. And they'll tell you, good news, shoulder. I don't know what happened. When I gave her that oil, guess what? I got a new car. When I gave her that oil, my husband came back home. When I gave her that oil, a promotion showed up. When I gave her that oil, something stopped. Something was dead. Something stopped. Something stopped. Something came to an end in my life that was tormenting my life. You give it back to them. And that same anointing is going to visit their household. And you're going to read these scriptures for the next 3 nights before you go to bed and when you get up in the morning. But you must anoint yourself in 7 key areas before you go to bed. And when you get up in the morning, miracles are going to happen. Come on. 404-380-1478. 404-380-1478. And call in and get your seat in the ground or go to bishopberrien.com. bishopberrien.com. And get your seat in the ground. We're going to start our teaching in just a moment on the 7-fold blessings of Abraham. You might be experiencing troubles or lack or frustration. You might be experiencing sickness in your body. You might be experiencing where nothing ever seems to work in your life. You plant, but you never see the fruit of your seeds. You plant, but you never see a harvest. You're always stepped over and stepped on in life. One bad relationship after the other. You might have a lot around you today. Let me say that again. You might have a lot around you that is eating up your blessings. We're going to talk about that tonight. But this is amazing. Something is shifting. Something is shifting. Now, I'll just get your olive oil because you got to follow my instructions tonight. You got to get the olive oil and follow my instructions. Yeah. Let us get ready. We're going to go into our teaching right now. We're going to go into our teaching right now because we've been dealing and we've been talking about the 7-fold blessings of Abraham and speaking destruction upon things that is not like God. And so tonight we're going to continue our teaching as we have been sharing on the 7 blessings of Abraham so that we can walk into the blessings, so that we can begin to acquire the blessings of God. And yet it is God's will that we be blessed. It is the will of God that many of us be blessed. So we're going to begin to set the foundations. We're going to begin to set the foundations as we have been looking at the 7-fold blessings of Abraham. And so let's begin to review quickly. We understand that God began to speak to Abraham, but we also know in Genesis chapter 11, and round about verses 28 through 30, we begin to find out who Abram's father is, and things of that nature. We understand that who Lot is, and Lot is his nephew. We understand also something very key, that Abraham's wife, Sarai, is barren. That Abraham's wife is barren, and he has a situation to deal with. But God begins to speak to Abram and give him some clear instructions. And before God begins to bless any of us, he will always give us instructions. So the Lord began to speak to Abraham and told him what he needed to do in Genesis chapter 12 and in verse 1. We're going to look at that in just a moment.